Hello again, everybody. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Fastbreak here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us here today. We'll start out by talking men's basketball with head coach Todd Eisner, and successful weekend for you this week. First road sweep of the season for you. I guess let's start out by talking about the Minot game. What did you see in your team in that Minot game that you liked?
Yeah, I mean, it was a slow start for both teams. We got to the first media timeout, I think it was 5-5, and both teams really struggled to score the ball in the first half, at least the first 10 minutes of the first half. And I thought we just hung in there. I mean, I think it was really important to not let them get some momentum. They had been playing really well. They had won 4 of 5 games, including beating Sioux Falls at home recently. And so we wanted to make sure that we didn't give them a lot of momentum early. And I thought our guys did a nice job in that way and gave ourselves a nice cushion at halftime, up 7, and were able to hold them off in the second half a little bit as it got a little dicey late.
All right, and then kind of the thing of the weekend was that you kept control of the basketball, just 12 total turnovers on the weekend. I think it was 4 against Minot. What can you attribute to that? Is that just good decision making, or what is that?
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate. It's something that I started at Midland in that the last couple of years there we played 2 point guards, and I think if Caleb was sitting in here, I think he'd call himself a scoring guard or a scoring point guard, and so. The guys that have the ball in their hands a lot are really good decision makers. They value the ball. They know we want them to value the basketball. And anytime you're not giving the other team, the ball in transition, it's certainly going to help your team overall. It also gives us opportunities to get more shots at the rim, and our guys certainly love that opportunity. So, there's an old saying in coaching to shoot it up before you screw it up, and we certainly try to make sure we value that motto as much as we can.
Well, and then you talk about assists too. 12 assists by Devin Whitelow, the assist to turnover ratio. He's now second in the country in that. And then Caleb Wagner, you talked about him. I think he had 7 assists then the next night. Talk about that and about the ball distribution and what you're seeing from your team in that way.
We want the ball to be moving. We don't want the ball to sit in one person's hands a lot. We get a little stagnant at times trying to make plays and let play. We want plays to evolve kind of naturally out of what we do as opposed to trying to create things on our own. That being said, there's a fine line between that because Caleb is such a good aggressive driver of the basketball, and then with that makes good plays for other players on the floor during that time. So there's a fine line between what we do with that, but we certainly want Caleb to be aggressive when he has the basketball in his hands. And, from a scoring standpoint, I think everybody knows that if we can get the ball to Caleb or get the ball to Kev, there's a good chance that some good things are going to happen. And we've been pretty fortunate on that at that end of the floor. As the season's gone on, we've continued to get better and better offensively.
All right, and then the other kind of storyline is that when you shoot the ball well from three-point range, you do well. And again, against Minot, 11 three-point shots in that game. Tell us about that part of the game.
Well, it's our bread and butter. I mean, we live by it, we die by it. The games that we haven't shot it very well, we've gotten beat for the most part. I actually looked it up the other day. I think we're 10-1 in Northern Sun games where we've shot 40% or more, and that one game is Sioux Falls that in the big picture we probably should have won, and then I think we're 8-2 in league games where we've made 12 threes or more. So I mean, it's going to be a big part of what we do. Dre got us off to a big start from the 3-point line the second night, and Kev continues to shoot it well, and Caleb's certainly a threat from out there, but we really want all 5 guys on the floor to be a threat from the arc, and we think it's going to open everything else up for us. And like we said, we're even looking forward to next year and seeing how moving the 3-point line back to the international level impacts what we do and how it impacts the game at the Division II level.
So do you have players practicing by taking the shot farther back already, or is that not something you do?
We don't really pay that close of attention to it. There's a couple of courts that actually have redone their floor already this past summer in our league, Northern and Wayne State. Our guys don't pay a ton of attention to it. What we don't want to do is we don't want their toes on the line. So wherever the line is, we just want to be behind it, because it makes no sense to make right now a 21-foot 6-inch shot when the line's at 21 feet 9 inches. So that's more of what we want our guys aware of, is if you're going to shoot it from there, let's get an extra point for it. But I know we want to make sure as we move forward that we start to prepare for that as we get into the spring and summer.
All right, let's talk about then the University of Mary game the following night. What did you see from your team in that one?
Well, we got off to a great start. We were up 32-15, I think, at the second media timeout. Shot the ball really well. I think at the first media timeout, I think we were 7 of 7 from the floor and 5 of 5 from the three. As I mentioned, Dre knocked down a bunch of threes early. So we really got off to a great start, which I thought was important. They had come off a big win the night before, beating Upper Iowa fairly easily, and we wanted to kind of take their momentum from them. Did that and then stopped playing, and it kind of was a combination of we took some bad shots, some hurried shots, took a bunch of threes when they weren't going down the last 10 minutes, allowed them to get the momentum back, and they outscored us 26-7 in the last 9 minutes of the half to take a 2-point lead, and then we just battled back and put ourselves in a position to be up 6 points, 8 points late. Kev hit a big three late for us. Caleb was big for us again, and so it was a good weekend for us to finish with another win.
And then Andrea Lobiondo, as you mentioned, with the 3-point shots, 4 of 6 shooting, then added 16 points to that. So again, big night from him.
Yeah, and like I said, he got off early, hit a bunch of threes in that first 10-minute segment, but he had a really good screen and roll with Caleb late in the game that we needed, and that was good to see him go attack the rim a little bit. So yeah, we got good contributions from a lot of guys, and so it's just been real important for us to continue to get better on the road, and we're at 4-5 now in the league on the road, and anytime you're 500 or better on the road, you feel like you're going to have a chance to be, to have a good team, and now it's just up to us to finish the homestand off in a right way with the top team in the league coming in on Friday.
Yeah, that's right. This weekend, Sioux Falls comes in, and then Southwest. And you alluded to the game earlier this season against Sioux Falls, which was an overtime loss, unfortunately. But being able to hang with the top team in the South, do you take anything away from that game, or do you clear the slate and just say, let's focus on what we have this week?
Well, I think we need to be a lot better on the defensive end of the floor. We especially in the second half, and especially late. Like I said, when we watched the film with the guys, there was from the 5-minute mark on, there was about a 2-minute segment where they went and scored on 4 out of 5 possessions that I thought really was the key to the game, not necessarily the last minute of the game, but all we had to do was get one stop in the last 45 seconds. We couldn't get it done. I certainly hope we're motivated based on, we feel like we gave that one away. That being said, I think you wipe it pretty clean just from the standpoint, I'm not sure we're going to get 73 points out of Caleb and Kev. Caleb had an unbelievable game with 47 that night, and Kev was very good too. So, we've got to do a better job on the defensive end of the floor. They play with a great level of toughness on both ends. We didn't do a great job on the glass. They got 12 offensive rebounds in the second half. Our ball screen coverage and our ability to rebound the ball will be key.
All right, and then we kind of alluded to this last week when we were talking about the standings, and right now you're tied for third in the NSIC, so you kind of have that home playoff. You're 2 games ahead of Augustana, so as long as you take care of business, you'll have that home playoff game.
Yeah, I think it's important. We want to make sure we are playing at home the first night. It certainly doesn't guarantee anything, as I remember the Duluth game from a couple of years ago, but it's certainly better than traveling, and so we've got to just take care of business, and we gave one away the last time we played at home, and we got to be ready to go for both games, but certainly focus right now is on Sioux Falls.
All right, very good. We're going to take a break here on Warriors Fast Break. When we come back, Luke Martins will join us right after this.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
And welcome back to Warriors Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. Luke Martins joins us. Thanks for being here today. I want to go back to your high school days because when I found out that you were the guest, I started to do my research, and I realized I had actually seen you play in high school at the state tournament in 2017 against Cretin-Durham Hall. That was the year that you guys won the state tournament. Tell us a little bit about the experience of playing at Apple Valley and playing in the state tournament, and playing alongside Trey Jones and that sort of players.
It was amazing. Every year, from freshman year on, I got to be in the state tournament, and just to get there one year, I know is such a surreal moment, and so I tried just living it up as much as I could, and I was blessed with playing with players like Gary Trent Jr., Trey Jones. Both of them played at Duke, so both of them are great people, especially Trey. Trey is, still talk to Trey, good friend of mine, so yeah.
I got to ask you just one question about that 2017 state tournament, because when we were there, we were covering Lake City, which was the game after this Cretin-Durham Hall, and when we were looking around, Tyus Jones was there watching you guys. Ricky Rubio was watching that game. I think Karl Anthony Towns was watching that game. Were you aware of that at that time? And what was that like to have the NBA players watching your game?
It was really cool. I wasn't aware that. I remember like one time we played against our rival Eastview, and Carl Anthony Towns showed up in this small gym, and I mean everyone just kind of paused and was like, "Oh my goodness, he's here." So yeah, I mean it was really cool seeing all those players. One time when I was injured my senior year, Jamal Crawford and a couple other players sat courtside and talked to us after. So I mean it was really cool just to meet those players that we all look up to. So.
All right, so you at Apple Valley, not only were you a great basketball player, a great football player, so what was the decision then to pursue basketball in college, and then how did Winona State get into the picture?
Yeah, my junior year I had a great year for football, and I loved playing it and loved playing basketball, but it just came down to what I loved playing more. Basketball was kind of where my heart was, so I talked to a couple people, AAU coach and stuff like that, and we just kind of decided that it would be best for me to shut down football and play basketball in college.
All right, so Coach Eisner, obviously you had a lot of competition for Luke Martins. So what was the thing that tipped the scales in your mind to get Luke here to Winona State?
He's a winner. I mean, that's number one. We call him Psycho in a good way. I mean, he's as competitive as you get. The first game that I watched him play, within the first couple of minutes, he went hard to the basket, got fouled, fell on his face, cut his chin open, ran in, got it either stitched up or glued up or whatever, was right back out on the floor, and that was him. I mean, it was just, he's Mr. Floor Burn, he's Mr. Take a Charge, he's Mr. Do all of the dirty work that nobody else likes to do, along with being a good basketball player. Mm-hmm. And I think you've seen his value to our team this year, and that he's really turned into a Swiss Army knife, but you also see his unselfishness, because at the end of the day, it hasn't been really fair to him that we haven't played him where his natural position is. He's probably a true 3. He can certainly move to the 4 with the way we play, and yet he's probably played the most minutes this year at the 5. And he doesn't care. He just wants to be on the floor. He doesn't back down from anybody, and he's really actually made him a difficult cover for other teams playing out of position a little bit for us. So we just really enjoy the spirit that he brings to our program and to our team on a daily basis, and that's really what drew us to him in the first place, and we know he's going to have a real important piece to what we do for the rest of the season and moving forward his last 2 years.
All right, let me ask you about your role this season. You're the 6th man on this team, so if the team needs a charge or a lift, they bring you in. If they want to hold a lead, they bring you in. So talk about that role, about playing that 6th man.
Yeah, starting the game, watching how the flow is, everything like that, it's kind of good, following that. And then I come in and I try to do whatever I can to help our team win. Whether that be, like he said, taking a charge, getting an extra rebound. Offensive rebound is something that I really like trying to do, getting those couple of games. But, I mean, whether I'm scoring, whether I'm not, doesn't really matter to me, just as long as we can separate and get a win.
All right, and then you did get 2 starts earlier this season when Alec Rosner was not able to play. What was it like to get in that starting lineup this year?
It was good. It's next man up. Alec couldn't play that weekend, and so I tried doing my best guarding-wise. So I guarded 2 really good players that weekend, and so I think I did pretty decent on them, guarding a position that is my position, but I haven't guarded it all year almost, so it felt good.
All right, and then what's the outlook for this weekend? What do you guys need to do this weekend?
Sioux Falls, we really need to play tough. I mean, that kind of fits with my forte, but Sioux Falls is a very tough team. We need to rebound, probably almost lead the league in offensive rebounds, so everyone needs to box out and need to do our best against that. So.
All right, sounds good. Good luck this weekend, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Fast Break. When we come back, we'll talk women's basketball with head coach Scott Ballard right after this.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style. At Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-60.
And welcome back to Warriors Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. Time now to talk women's basketball with head coach Scott Ballard. And the weekend started out pretty good for you. The first quarter of the Minot game, you scored 24 points, and then something happened. Do you know what it was that happened?
Well, it's a combination of things. We're struggling with some things right now in different phases of the game. I would say that in the second quarter, we're up 6 at halftime, but I did not like what I seen starting to happen in the second quarter. Allie hit 3 threes in the first quarter, and then they come out second quarter, and they're just face guarding her. There's put somebody on her and hang on to her jersey. They were not guarding Keek, and so their person was cheating back in the lane. So things are getting congested in there. Emma was in a little foul trouble. They started to find ways to score, and then they started to rebound. And in the second half, we shot poorly in the second half, and they really worked us on the boards. Nobody's worked us on the offensive boards like they did in the second half, and so you got to give them credit. There's losses and there's bad losses, and that was a bad loss for us. Really, the only bad loss this year, because it was a team with a losing record and somebody that had struggled up until the last 2 or 3 weeks. So not getting that win really puts some pressure on us. And then, of course, the next night we go to Mary, and I told our team they are the most talented starting 5 in the league. And they proved it in the first quarter. They hit 7 threes in the first quarter. 5 of them were highly contested. It was 4 different people that hit them. They have the leading scorer in the league, averaging 22 points a game inside, who hadn't started scoring yet. They shot 62% the first quarter. And I told our team, I said, there's no way that they can keep that up, the rest of the game. And I was right. They shot 80% in the second quarter. So we found ourselves down halftime by 15, 16, something like that. Second half, we really played well. I'm very encouraged by how we played the second half. They outscored us 2 points in the second, third, and fourth quarter. But we had dug such a hole in that first quarter that we couldn't get completely out of it, and basically traded buckets a good portion of the rest of the game. But long, hard road trip. Disappointing that we lost both games. We have 4 tough games remaining, all of them against teams with winning records. And right now in the South Division, you have 6 teams that are fighting for 3 home playoff spots. They're all within 2 games of each other, and a lot of them are playing each other. So there can be a lot of movement. We still control our own destiny and have a lot to play for. So we just have to regroup and try to be more consistent at both ends of the floor, and try to give ourselves a chance to win this weekend.
Right. As I say, you play to win the games, but there were individual efforts that were really good this weekend. Taylor Hustad, again, had another great weekend.
Well, there's always individuals that have good games, and Taylor, we've really started to lean on her heavily. She's been a double-double machine for probably half the games that we've played, and considering that she's a undersized 5'10" post player, she is starting to see double teams and triple teams and people trying to deny her touches where she likes it. She's spent a lot of time working on counters, improving her perimeter game. I think she hit a couple threes this weekend. So, she's a tough matchup for people, and they have to respect her. But we have to have balance. And when we don't have balance, then we struggle scoring. And, and it just makes it too easy. When you become one-dimensional, it makes it really easy for teams to scheme for you. And, Tay's not been in foul trouble in quite some time. And she used to be a little bit foul prone. But we've got to have more balance so that if she has to spend some time in different quarters on the bench, that we still can, have success, give ourselves a chance to win.
All right, so what does practice look like this week then, getting ready for, as you said, 2 difficult games? Thankfully they're home, but...
Yeah, but, we've proved already this year it doesn't matter where we play or who we play, it matters how we play.
Yeah.
And we have some tremendous unexpected wins on the road, but we've not really taken care of business at home as much as you would expect. So, Sioux Falls and Southwest, Sioux Falls is ranked 11th in the nation. They were 10th in the nation when we played them at their place, and Southwest, we were down 8 at halftime at their place, and then had a big third quarter that gave us a cushion to work with. But both those teams are not only good, but they're hot. Sioux Falls has not lost since we beat them. Southwest has won 3 in a row, and they play Upper Iowa Friday night before they come in here Saturday. So they're good teams that are confident and playing well, and we need to get some of our confidence back. But it's going to be challenges. You just take it one at a time, and both teams are more familiar with each other this time than they were the first time that we played. So it's going to be tough, intense, and this time of the year, everyone plays with a sense of urgency that they didn't have maybe until February rolled around. So we've got to try to match our performance and effort the first time we played both those teams, which might have been 2 of the best games that we played all year. And it's tough to do, but we're going to regroup and work and prepare and try to put forth a great effort.
Is there anything that you point to as far as we've talked about the slow quarters? Is there anything that can be done to try to avoid those, or do you not?
No, if you knew those were coming, you would avoid them.
Right, obviously.
But now that everyone has played 20 conference games, 18 conference games, there's so much film. There's no secrets, and so it's about counters. It's about balance. It's about getting more production off the bench. It's about people developing, playing with confidence. There is some scheming, and people make some adjustments. They try to take something away or neutralize something that you hurt them with the first time. And in both those games, the first time that we played Southwest and Sioux Falls, we got to the free throw quite often. And we were able to, both those teams are all about transition, trying to turn you over, play with open court, and then shoot a lot of threes. And we were able to do a good job of controlling both those teams, and we got to the free throw line quite a bit, which was a big reason why we won.
All right, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Fast Break, and when we come back, we'll talk with Ava Sergio right after this.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
And welcome back to Warriors Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. Ava Sergio joins us. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, of course.
You're from Illinois, so tell us a little bit about your high school career and maybe some highlights from your high school career.
You go from being big in your high school and then you come here and everyone was that player. So, high school was fun, but this next level is another thing, and everyone wants it, everyone's competitive, so it's a big difference, but it's a good change.
All right, in reading a couple of interviews about you, you said that you wanted to be a college basketball player going all the way back to middle school. Why was that a goal for you that early on? What was it about the game of basketball that you wanted to make sure that you continued with it?
I remember there was always these seniors in my high school above me that went on and did big things in college, and I always wanted to be like them. So that was my goal, and that was reaching greatness for me, and that was what I put my head forward to since freshman year of high school is when I really started to work towards it. So I'm glad that I accomplished it, and now I have more accomplishments.
There's more work to do.
Yeah.
I understand that there is a trainer that kind of helped you along and helped get you ready for college basketball because she had played college basketball.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, Blair Fox, she came to our high school when I was a junior, and she just came as someone who just moved to town. And she walked into the high school as a volunteer, and she played at KU. Started all 4 years, and I took up her opportunity to learn from her and get better, and we became really good friends. And she's taught me more about the game than I can imagine, and more about life and like how to put those things together. And she was the one who pushed me to get to that college level.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then how did Winona State get into the picture?
They started recruiting me junior year?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still didn't have many offers, and I came here, and I loved it. I mean, between the coaches and the players, it feels right. Yeah.
All right. What did you see in Ava that made you want to bring her here?
I've seen a lot of potential. We've seen somebody that moved very well, had good hands, good feet, good motor, strong, just had a lot of versatility. And I think that's going to materialize a lot maybe this spring and in the off season. She missed a lot. She missed our entire preseason this year. Coming into the school year, she had mono like 2 weeks before school started, so she couldn't do a lot of the conditioning stuff. And then 2 or 3 weeks into the semester, she broke her hand playing sand volleyball and had to have pins put in it. So she missed the entire reps of preseason. And so this postseason will be an opportunity for her to gain a lot of repetition and skill development. And we've noticed in the last month how much confidence she's gained. She's learning how to play defense, and that's a big adjustment going from high school to college. But she's just soaking everything up and getting enough experience to help her development, and she's motivated. That's probably the biggest thing, is that she wants to be a really good player, a dominant player if she can be, and that motivation, we're going to absolutely take advantage of that and use it this postseason.
All right, so the injuries early on, how did that kind of affect your transition from the high school game to the college game?
Yeah, I mean, it sucked because I worked the whole summer trying to prepare for preseason, and then I got sick, and we tried everything to get me to work out, but the doctors were like, you can't. So that was really, both injuries were mentally hard because I wanted to be out there with them so bad. So I just had to watch, and then it was tough because as a freshman, you're already struggling, and then I was behind the freshmen. So it was hard when I jumped right back in, but I mean, they were patient with me and they still pushed me. So I mean, I was learning slower than the others, but I think I caught on.
Yeah.
But it just takes a while. I mean, like you said, defense was my biggest transition, and learning how to be that player for my team and just get better.
All right. Did you have one more thing that you wanted to add about Ava there?
Well, I mean, it's like she said, it's a tough enough challenge coming in as a freshman, let alone to be forced to wait until you've already had preseason. I think we had already played 2 Division I exhibition games and 2 regular season games, and so she's trying to learn things on the fly in the middle of your game season. Whereas everybody else had opportunities and weeks to work on skill development and stuff. And so I knew that would be really frustrating for her. As a competitor, you think when you're given the green light to go ahead and start playing, that you can pick up where you left off, but it doesn't work that way. You got to knock a lot of rust off, and there's timing involved, and it just takes a lot of patience. So there's a lot of frustration that comes with it, but one of our favorite quotes is determination must overcome frustration, and she's done a good job with that. And when she gets older, she'll be able to look back on that experience, even though it didn't feel good, and see how it made her stronger as a competitor, as a person, and help her have success in different ways.
All right, well, good luck this weekend, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Warriors Fast Break here on TV 25. We'll see you next time here on HBC.